Hey there. In this tutorial, we're going to revisit an employee work schedule that we created in a prior tutorial. But this time we're going to add just a little bit more automation to help you avoid some errors as you're creating the work schedule. But if you missed the other tutorial, don't worry, we're going to be building this one step by step, so you'll still be able to follow along. So we're going to start by creating an area for the first day of the week. And in this case, this will be Monday. So in cell A1, we'll write April 21st, 2025. And then just below it in cell A2, I'm going to write Monday. And in cell A3, we're going to create what will be headers for our schedule. So we'll start with employee, available. Then next to this, I'm going to enter the hours that are available to be worked. So we'll start with 8 a.m. And so once I have 8 a.m., I'm going to drag this over using my cursor until we reach 9 p.m. And those will be the hours where we have shifts that need to be filled from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Your available hours likely differ from these, but this is just so we have an idea of how we can set up the schedule. So then in column Q here at the very end of our labels, we're going to write total hours. So we'll set this section aside for now. I just wanted to do this first so I would have an idea of how many columns the schedule would take up. So off to the right, and you could also do this on a separate sheet. I just want to do it so we can see it all together. We're going to create an area where we can list the employees' availability for each day and also see their total hours for the week at a glance. We'll start by typing employee. Then next to it, we'll type total hours. And right next to this, we'll type the days of the week. And now I'm going to select these two and drag over to use autofill to fill the rest of the days of the week. So now I'm going to convert this into a table, just pressing Control T on my keyboard. And we'll select my table has headers. And I don't need the filter buttons, so we'll get rid of these. So before I do anything else and forget, I want to assign a name to this table. So selecting the entire first row of data, go to the name box on the left side of the sheet, and we'll name this Employee Weekly Info with no spaces because you can't have any spaces in named ranges. And we'll press Enter to save it. And here in the employee column, we can list the names of our employees. And one reason I like making this a table is because as we continue adding new employees, they'll be automatically captured as part of that table. So for the total hours, I'm going to use a SUMIFS function to calculate the number of hours for each employee for that week. So we'll say equals SUMIFS. And for the sum range, I'm going to select column Q because this is where the total hours will be listed per day for each employee, comma. For criteria range, I'm going to select column A because this is where the name of each employee will be listed, comma again, and then I'm going to select the first name on my employee name list and press enter. And because this is a table, you'll see the formula autofill all the way down the table. And let's just center this. I also want to add some conditional formatting to the total hours column to let me know if I accidentally schedule any employee to work over 40 hours in a week. So with this column selected, in the Home tab, in the Style section, go to Conditional Formatting, highlight Cell Rules, and select Greater Than, and we'll say to highlight anything that is greater than 40. And click OK. And just to test this, let's say for Henry, we type 45. Okay, and that's highlighted. Let's undo this because I do want to maintain that formula there. So we can now enter each employee's daily availability. And for your business, you could list this availability by shift, but in the spirit of time, this example is going to be for full working days. And we can use something like UA for unavailable on days that each employee can't work. So let's say that John can't come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and actually let's center this just to make it look nicer. So he can't come in on Tuesdays or Thursdays, and Emerson and Pepe only work on Saturdays and Sundays. So let's just copy this and select Monday through Friday for Emerson and Pepe. And everyone else, you can use copy and paste again, has Saturday and Sunday off. So back to the employee schedule area. Let's select all these headers that we created in row 3 from employee over to total hours. And again, pressing Control T on our keyboards to create a table. We'll select my table has headers and click OK. So I'll be honest with you, automating an employee work schedule in Excel is tricky. Excel has its limitations, and there's always the chance that you're going to miss updating something, entering something, or make some kind of an error. But that's where the sponsor of this video comes in. Connect Team is an employee management app created especially for non-desk teams. So, if you have a small business with employees that you need to schedule shifts or jobs for, you have to try them. They have a feature that will auto-assign shifts based on employee availability and qualifications, and it's super fast. You can tailor it how you like. So you have the option to use one of the Connect Team shift templates, copy your prior week schedule, or upload your own template. And if you need to make any changes, you can do so with a simple drag and drop. The app is packed with features that will keep you informed about your employees' work hours, help you avoid timesheet errors, and really give you complete control over your team's schedule. And Connect Team also makes scheduling easier for your employees. Directly from the app on their phone, your employees can access their schedule, mark their availability, request time off, and have all the information they need about their shift right in their app. Plus, when it's time for their shift, they can clock in and out with a simple tap on their phone. The app will then automatically calculate hours worked, breaks, and overtime. So whether you manage a team with different shifts in one location or out on the field, this will be such a time saver for everyone. Your team just downloads the app on their smartphone and they're good to go. What's more is that you can start for free. So if you have 10 users or less, it's free to use. If you have more than 10 users, you can get a 14-day free trial, no credit card needed. Sign up today by clicking the link in the description of this tutorial or by scanning the QR code on your screen. And thank you, Connect Team, for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel. And in cell A4, the first cell just below employee, I'm going to create a list of the employee names that references this employee availability table. With that cell selected, we'll go to the Data tab, and in the Data Tools section, find Data Validation. Under Allow, select List, and then for Source, we'll select this employee heading and click OK. And then I only have 7 employees listed. You may have more. One of the easiest ways to enter the employee names, especially if you have a lot of them, is to copy them and use Paste Special to paste them as values directly into your table. Select all of the employees, come back to cell A4, and we'll right-click and paste Special as values, and click OK to insert them as new rows in your table. And now when you do that, you'll see that each of these already has a down arrow, which is a sign that they're part of a data validation list. So what will happen if you have a new employee to add, you can just expand your table by however many rows and pull the new employee name from the drop-down list. But let's undo that because we don't need that extra row. So now we can work on noting when an employee is available to work. And to be honest, the easiest way for my eyes to process this is by seeing when an employee is not available to come to work. So I'm going to use a formula that combines if, index, and match to let us know, based on what's on our employee availability table, when an employee is not available to work in any given day. And also, I'm not a fan of super long formulas, so I'm going to include this formula that we'll be using in the description box of this tutorial. And if you want, you can just go in, copy it, and paste it, and then update it with the correct cell references for your employee schedule. So the formula will be an if function. So we'll say if, then index, open parentheses, we'll select this table. And I'm actually going to delete up here where it says hashtag all. For some reason, having that causes an error in my formula, but you can see if it doesn't do the same thing for you. But just selecting table 1, comma, match, select the employee name in the adjacent cell, comma, and then we'll select the column with the employee names in the other table, comma again, and we want the match to be exact, so we'll say 0, close the parentheses, comma, insert another match function, reference the day of the week, and we'll lock this cell, and we'll reference the headers in this column. So when your cursor turns to a right pointing arrow, click on it to select all of the headings, comma, an exact match again. So we'll type 0, close the parentheses, close the other parentheses, then equal, and in quotation mark, type UA. And if the value is true, we want to return UA. We know they're unavailable. And if they are available, we just want to leave the cell blank and close the parentheses. And again, because this is a table, it autofills our data all the way down. And let's center this. And there, now we can see which employees are not available for that day. Now, once all of this is ready, I want to enter a couple of conditional formats in this schedule area to help flag a few things for me. So the first one, with all of the cells below the hour block selected, will go into the Home tab, Conditional Formatting, highlight cell rules, and we'll select a text that contains, and here we'll just type an X, because what I'll be doing is typing an X under each hour block that an employee will be working. So we'll click OK. And now let's say we put an X at 8 a.m. for John, and that changed colors. And actually, let's select all these because I would like to center these. And I can fill this in from 8 to 3, meaning those are the hours he'll be working on that Monday. And for total hours, we'll use a count A function, which will count any cell that has characters, whether or not that's a number or not. Say count A, and we'll select all the cells from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. in that row. Press enter, and now we can see the hours worked for that day. The next conditional format that I want to apply, I'm going to do one row at a time. So we'll select that first row, go to Conditional Formatting, highlight Cells Rules, and we'll click on More Rules. And we'll select to use the formula to determine which cells to format. So the formula will be equals, we'll say if cell B4 equals UA. And I want to remove the $sign from the 4, and then the special format that I want to use will be a fill color in black, so it just blocks out that whole row. And now with all of those cells still selected, I'm going to go to the clipboard and click on Format Painter and apply that formatting to the other cells. And now as I update the schedule, I can see that Emerson and Pepe, I shouldn't give them hours to work on a Monday. So now I'm going to do a bit of formatting just to make this look a little nicer. And one thing I want to do is here in row 2 where we have the day of the week, I'm going to select all of the cells in row 2 from column A to column Q. Going to go to alignment and click on merge and center, and merge and center this along the top. And let's bold this, and let's give it a blue fill to match the table below it. And we'll format the date cell above it to look similar to it. So we'll merge and center it. We'll add the same blue fill and bold it. So now I'm going to select this entire Monday schedule, copy it, skip a couple of rows, and paste it just below it. And on the date, in cell A13, I'm just going to reference the date in cell A1 and add 1. And that will update to April 22nd. And we'll write Tuesday below it. And then we'll do this again for every day of the week. And this part is a bit manual, but you really only have to do it the first time that you create this. So with that done, we need to go back into each day's availability column. And here we need to update which day we're referencing. So to do this, double click on the first cell of the availability column. It should be referencing the day name in the first schedule, which in this example is Monday. Now you should see it highlighted, and when it's like this, you can just drag it to the new cell that you want to reference. And because this is a table, all the other cells in that same column for the same date will also update. And we'll repeat this for each day. Next, we're going to go back into each one of these schedules and select the cells just beneath each of the time slots. And we're going to give them a name. And the name I'm going to use for these are just the day of the week that it represents. So this first one will be Monday. I'll repeat it. In the next one, selecting only the cells for the time slots. And I'll name this one Tuesday. And we'll repeat this for each of the days. And also, if you need to make a change to any of these named ranges, you can do so by going to the Formulas tab. And here you'll find the Name Manager where you can access all of them. And so that we know which dates we're updating for our schedule, we should name the tab accordingly. So right-click on the tab, then click on Rename, and we'll label it week of 4/21 to 4/27, 2025. And let's delete any excess left in the blocked out areas after all our copying and pasting. So now you would fill out the schedule for your employees for the week. And when you get ready to make a new schedule, let's create a copy of this one. Of the first one, we can update the week. So we'll say this will be from 4/28 to May 4th, 2025. And to start the new week, we'll come up to the first schedule and update its date to the first day of this new work week, which is 4/28, 2025. And because of the formulas that we created earlier, all the other dates have now updated as well. Another great help when starting a new schedule from a copy of a prior week is to use a macro to reset your schedule and clear out the old data. To do this, go to your Developer tab in the Code section and click on Record Macro. And you'll want to give it a name that reflects what the macro does. So we'll call this example Clear Employee Weekly Schedule with no spaces. And yes, I want to store this macro only in this workbook, and click OK to begin recording. What we're recording is the selecting of each schedule and deleting its content. So using the named ranges that we created earlier, we'll select Monday from the named ranges box here on the top left. And with the schedule area selected, we'll press delete to clear it. Then select Tuesday and press delete to clear that. And we'll do this for each day in our schedule template. And if you like, you can also include the clearing of data from the Employee Weekly Availability section. And if so, select this from the named ranges also and press delete. And when you're done with all of them, click on Stop Recording to stop recording the macro. So then, in order to be able to save this and run the macro in the future, you'll need to save your file as a macro-enabled file or an XLSM file. So click Save As, rename your file if you wish, and the XLSM file type should already be chosen for you, but if not, select it from the drop-down and click Save. So I entered some dummy data here to test all of this. So right-clicking on the tab to create a new copy of this sheet. Oh, and this pop-up, it's just asking about reusing the named ranges. So click yes to all. Then rename the tab to reflect the dates for the next work week. Go to the Developer tab, and in the Code section, click on Macros. Select the macro to clear the schedule, and click Run. Once it's done running, you should see the contents of the shift schedule template have been cleared. And then don't forget to change the date on the first schedule. And now you're ready to start entering the next shift schedule. Thanks for watching, and for more tutorials like this, click on these links. Thanks.